This is Alan with Tune Army Baltimore. A gooner and a toffee walk into a bar. Decided to do a shit football podcast. You're listening to the DU Football Show.
I mean, he's not wrong. He's not wrong.
But a goodie, that one.
Yeah, it's classic. I mean, that is the gold standard of all intros. We go, do what he did, because it's pretty fucking great.
That's right.
You know what? His team played a hell of a match today, and still the best they could do is get a draw. Let's start the show.
Born in the land of Bowie, Maryland. Bred to be a fan of fucking Everton. Punch you in the eye and drink your rye. Sam Houston.
Sam Houston?
Arsenal fans have another Sam. Right day, the fucking Gooner Graham. Smell the Malort. Looks great in shorts. Sam Graham, hey.
Sam Graham.
Fucking United! Fucking United!
Hello and welcome to the Drunken United Football Show, a completely biased recap of the English Premier League as told by two common American schmucks. I am your host, Sam Houston, and across the internets from me on the Zoom meeting tonight is the tranquil, calm, and let's say zenful Mr. Samuel Graham. Sammy, how you doing, baby?
I'm doing pretty well, Sam. How are you?
Let's make a happy little cloud over there.
I'm very zen, my friend. Hopefully we fall into some happy little mistakes during the show.
I would love it. We're recording at the DU Public House just outside the nation's capital. You can check us out on all podcast platforms. Please be sure to rate, subscribe, review, and share with a footballing friend. Should you want to chat with us, there is many ways that you can. Mr. Graham, tell the good people how they can get in touch.
Sure, it's very easy. It's at DU Football Show on all the social medias. Funny enough, this is being live streamed there, so you should probably check it out. Or dufootballshow@gmail.com to get in touch via email. We have a Patreon, of course, patreon.com/DU Football Show, where you can get all of our extra content. And then the DU Drip Shack, which is in the bio of all the social media is the link for that. But you can get some of our sweet swag in honor of Newcastle's sweet draw. I've got on our original Dort Spy Wrecked t-shirt in honor of the Mike Ashley, obviously Sports Direct brand.
It is interesting to look at St. James Park and not see any of that plastered everywhere like it used to be. Like, look, there's advertisers where you can actually collect money from them and use that to procure services and players for your club. Yeah. I mean, it helps that you have a shit ton of oil money, but you know, what the hell?
Well, you need to show something on the books too, on top of that, right?
Right, exactly.
So they got to use that space, and it's finally, you know, I mean, the club themselves tweeted a picture of all the Sports Direct banners and advertising hoardings on carts being taken out of St. James's Park. And it got like the most likes of any club post for the last 3 years kind of shit. It's insane.
You need an advertising spot? We need to cover up $50 gazillion of blood oil money. Oops, said too much. Sam and myself both work in the wine and spirit industry and both have a deep, passionate love for all things distilled spirits. So as the red-blooded Americans we are, we've got to have a drink in our hand throughout this show and every single show. Mr. Graham, you know we have never covered this specific bottle of whiskey. We've covered this brand before, and of course, near and dear to my heart was a former employer of mine. But Mr. Graham, tell everybody what we're drinking tonight.
Sure. So we've got Whistle Pig 10-year-old rye whiskey. This is a 10-year-old rye from the original distillate was from Canada, but Whistle Pig takes it, ages it, and it is phenomenal. It is the gold standard of flagship rye whiskey for any rye house that I'm, as far as I'm concerned. You get the nice big vanilla up front, a little bit of caramel going on, and then it finishes with that nice pepper spice that you want from a rye whiskey. It's balanced. There's no bite to it. It is absolutely delicious. Comes in 100 proof, and it'll run you between $79.99 and $84.99 on the shelf.
Excellent. You know, there's when you say it's the gold standard, it absolutely is, especially in a world where when rye whiskey began to climb and become big, it was the cheap $10 to $15 bottle on the bottom of the shelf collecting dust. And people said, you can't have rye that's really over 3-4 years old. They make a 10-year-old rye. You can't do 100% rye. You have to cut another grain into it. It's just too much. They did 100% rye.
Yep.
You know, the high proof's going to be a bit. Nope, they did 100 proof, and it quickly. And you can't be luxury. You can't sell a bottle of rye whiskey for $80. Yeah, you can. And now the big houses, the big Kentucky houses, are all now making rye whiskey. Why? Whistle Pig. It's because of Whistle Pig. They're the one who started it.
That was the vision and the dream of the great man himself, Dave Pickerel. Obviously, you were very close with, but he was the master distiller at Whistle Pig. And when he told the story a few times on this pod, when he went to Maker's Mark, who we worked for before, and said, I'd like to experiment with some other stuff and maybe do things. And you've always said that the famous quote that their board told him was, "We make 3 things: wheated bourbon, wheated bourbon, wheated bourbon."
Mm-hmm.
End of. So he went and got another job. He went and found an investor, started Hill Rock, started countless other brands, really, and really brought different types of whiskey into the luxury category, and opened people's eyes to a lot of really fun stuff.
Very cool. Very cool. Well, also, Producer Mel has a little cocktail tonight. Want to tell us what you're drinking there?
I have no idea. You handed it to me, and it tastes great.
Okay, well, why don't you show the bottle for the camera? Okay, so what I did was, this is Vale vodka. It's actually a Total Wine and More's brand.
Not
so like
much
one of their
left of it.
One of their own brands, direct import brands. So they're able to make it real cheap. So I think it was like $12.
Hey, it was distilled 5 times.
Which, by the way, means fuck all when you're talking about numbers of times distilled for vodka. It always has to be distilled at least 3 times. If it's going through a shitty filter and you're not really purifying it very well, you can distill it 20 times and it doesn't matter at all.
Matter,
right?
exactly.
What type of grain are you using? What kind of water are you cutting it with? And how kind of filtration do you do to it is really ultimately what makes the difference. But this was a gingerbread vodka from them. And Mel is, as we know, besides being Hills and Trees Mel, she is absolutely gingerbread Mel.
Gingerbread Mel. And Boxing Day, I made myself a gingerbread coffee syrup. So I was drinking gingerbread with gingerbread vodka coffee drinks all day long.
Excellent. And this one I made for her was gingerbread vodka, a little bit of, a whole lot of cranberry, gave it a nice hard shake, and then floated a little bit of pineapple in there just to give it a little pineapple upside down cake kind of flavor to it as well to go along with the tartness of the cranberry. So
it is delicious.
So
not too bad there. There you go.
So a sea breeze made with a gingerbread vodka in a way, I guess what you could say it is.
I'm feeling Christmas on Christmas Island already.
Excellent. All right. Well, kids, let's have ourselves a great show.
Have a very good show.
I don't know if I can reach you.
There we go. We were able to reach.
Computer screen.
Air 5 there, Graham. Air 5.
Yeah.
Isn't there something else Graham's supposed to do, though?
Yeah. What else should we do?
Remember to drink responsibly so you don't get high blood pressure.
Exactly. Well said. Well said. That is something, if you wanted to know more about, you should probably check out on our Patreon.
Yep.
28 goals on Boxing Day with 2 matches postponed. And 9 of them came in one fucking match, Mr. Graham. Manchester City 6, Leicester City 3. It was 4-0 at halftime. City was up 4-0 at halftime.
Minute.
Like,
it was insane. It was. You thought it could have been 6-0 the way that was going by halftime. De Bruyne scored after just 5 minutes. A fantastic shot, but I'd have to say the Leicester defense has to do something better. I know they're hurting for players at the back at the moment, but that's pitiful. That ball had no pace on it. It was high as a kite. It had all the time in the world to get underneath of it, and they just didn't. De Bruyne was able to bring it down, obviously turn and fire. It was a great finish, but it should have never got to that point at all. Somebody should have been able to head that ball away.
Before you go ahead and get into some of those other goals in the first half, one that we're about to discuss, I would like to go ahead and just say the bravery of the official, Kevin Clancy, to call the Leicester defender for holding and pulling down Ruben Diaz in the box. It's a miracle, and I'm glad to see that the ref had courage to make that call. Not that it doesn't happen every fucking corner kick of all fucking time.
Yeah. Besides that, later on Raheem Sterling's goal, the final goal of the game, Ruben Diaz was holding two players, and one of which he shoved down in Chowdhury, and then the ball hit his bicep as he tried to head it. Now that part I don't have a problem with because his arm was against his body,
Right.
Fine. But it falls to Raheem Sterling. Raheem Sterling scores, and VAR looks at it as they did this one. Goal stands. The referee actually didn't blow for a penalty to begin with. The ball was cleared out for a throw-in, and VAR told him to go take a look at it. And if you've already seen, whenever they go to the screen, it's usually going to go the other way that it did on the field.
Oh, the minute they go to the screen, it's getting turned.
And from what the announcers were saying during this, I think the call was on Tielemans. So it wasn't Ruben Diaz's wrestling with whoever that was. It was Tielemans and Emerick Laporte.
Okay.
They were also wrestling about 3 yards further away from goal. So there's just, much like Mel's autobiography, there's just a lot going on there.
Yeah.
And I don't think the referee had any other choice, to be honest.
I don't.
Tillemans' back was to the play as well, so it's not even like they're jostling for position. He's not even looking at the ball.
Yeah, I don't disagree with the call, but here's the thing: that never gets called, except for. By the way, Sam, let me just remind you. The documents I have, Mr. Graham, tell you right now, it seems convenient. Oh, hey, wait, it's fucking City. Let's go ahead and call that a penalty. Then you say, like I said, on the other end of the field, we didn't see anything here. Nothing to really look at. It just, you get called all the time or don't call it at all. One or the other. Just one or the other. Don't choose when it's convenient, because that did that, honestly. I mean, that does change the course of that first half. It does. Now the game had 1,000 other turns to it, of course, but it just for me, it's just thoroughly annoying to see, because it's just like, okay, well, now you call this shit. Now you care. Right.
No, I hear you. Now, Ederson in this game did have to make a ton of saves, and they started right after that Mahrez penalty. So it was 2-0 going in, to the 14th minute, I think it was. And Ederson had to, I think it was 2 big time saves he made. One from a Maddison free kick, and then another shortly thereafter was relatively routine, but he needed to be brave, and he was. Gundogan scored because Kasper Schmeichel doesn't trust those players that are playing in defense at the moment.
No.
A ball like that, you have to allow the defenders to clear because of exactly this issue. If you can't catch it, you're going to spill it right into the middle of the field. And it fell to Gundogan, who has, quick reaction time, scores, no problem. And then Tielemans gave away another penalty on 27 minutes. Yep. I think it was maybe 24 minutes, something like that, which Raheem Sterling then scored. So it was 4-0 in the 25th minute. But even still, like I said, the warning signs were there for City.
Yeah, they could be had.
They had been caught out a couple times. They had been caught, on the break as well. Leicester didn't have the ability to finish. Ederson was kind of standing on his head there at the beginning. And then, the second half started with a couple chances for City, but a sweet, sweet counter for Leicester. James Maddison, I mean, a plan like that, he should be back in the England team, to be honest with you. It was fantastic, especially with Jack Grealish and Phil Foden licking doorknobs. You got a ready-made replacement right here.
Right.
So it was lovely stuff from him. He started the first counterattack, finished it, and then he started the next counterattack 4 minutes later, Eniacho being the middle player in both, and he, the second time, gave it to Lookman, who scored.
That was nasty little through.
It was dirty. Yeah, it was absolutely fantastic. And then Ederson pulled a Pickford, as I like to say, and saved it onto the top of the crossbar that allowed Eniacho to score after he was just kind of flailing on the ground, similar to what happened to Divock Origi.
Yeah.
Except this one looked a little better because the save was on the 6-yard line, and then it carooned up, then hits the bar and comes back. Pickford just kind of, Michael Jordan did off the crossbar.
Oh no, what he did was actually just put it back into play, because remember, it was going out of bounds and he knocked it into play.
But so that was brilliant, and that sets it up for a grandstand finish, right? Supposed to. Nah. We're going to let them score 2 minutes later off of a corner kick, and Emerick Laporte looping header.
Mm-hmm.
It was perfectly placed into the upper 90 on that far side, but that kind of killed the game off for me. Leicester had a chance or two, but it really killed their momentum. And then, finally Sterling off the last corner that hit Diaz in the arm, as we talked about before. As all in all, it was a really fun game of football to watch. There was only 7 out of the 9 substitutes on the bench for Leicester. A couple names I'd never heard of before. No Jamie Vardy still. A couple people I forgot were there. Iosi Perez.
Mm-hmm.
The guy they brought from Southampton, the center back.
Vertonghen.
Not Vertonghen.
Yeah, Jan Vertonghen. He's the center back, and the outside back was Bertrand.
Okay.
Bertinac is still with Southampton. In fact, he scored this weekend.
Yeah, it was Vestergaard.
Okay. Yeah,
Vertonghen was the one that played for Tottenham.
Yeah.
That I think is playing at Porto now or something.
Vestergaard. Sorry, my apologies. My apologies for screwing up my V-worded Belgian, Dutchy, whatever the hell they are. that northern part of Europe that's not Germany. Not Scandinavia, not Germany. That world.
So it was just a crazy ass game. It was end to end stuff. You thought, it could have been a 9-0, similar to what Leicester put on Southampton, as I'm contractually obliged to mention a couple of seasons ago. But instead, Leicester fought their way back, and there was still 9 goals in the game, as you say, but it was 6-3, which was a lot of fun to watch. There was some really good football played.
Daddy was at the book for Boxing Day.
There you go.
Daddy had some cheddar on this one. Had a fun little bet that he hit. You'll like this. Both teams to score.
Mm-hmm.
City to win. Over 3.5 goals. Over 9 corners. Papa hit. Now at halftime, I was sitting there looking at him like, I got this one in the bag. I just need what's face. I just need Leicester to score a goal. Leicester scores a goal, and I look at my boy who I'm there with. I'm like, all right, Dad's in. This is good. See this shit out. Then suddenly it's 4-2. I'm like, all right, now I'm not. Let's see this shit out. We're good. Then it's 4-3, and I'm like, all right, don't be fucking with me now. Do not be fucking with me. And then they got 5, and I was like, okay, we're good now. We're good. Yeah. Saw that out. Yeah, I was very happy with. Now, despite giving up the goals, which that certainly shows a weakness in that regards to City, they're on fire right now, man. Like,
absolutely,
I've never seen City be this ruthless, and they have just, as of late, they've always been we'll get 2 goals and we'll just see it out. We don't need to do anything. We'll just pass it around. If we make 20 passes inside the 18, we'll allow somebody to shoot, right? Like that training ground drill or something. And they're just fucking taking it. 2 teams right now.
They, as of, I think we talked about maybe a month ago, 4 or 5 games ago, I think we talked about them having like 8 goals less than Liverpool.
Mm-hmm.
In those last 4 or 5 games, they now have a goal difference that is +3 better than Liverpool.
Yeah, and honestly, that could come down to it. It really can.
Absolutely.
Really can come down to it.
Now, Liverpool do have a game in hand, which would put them, should they win it, on 44. So they'd only be 3 points back. So goal difference could absolutely come into play. And this is going to be a real fun race to watch, I think. But it's all going to boil down to the next couple of weeks and how Liverpool come through this January period with no Salah and no Mane. As of now, the African Cup of Nations still moving forward with their plans to play that tournament, which is well within their right to do so.
Hold on. Jurgen hasn't convinced them that they need to cancel the entire tournament because his team needs rest. Trust me, if they come out and lay an egg against Leicester this midweek, I guarantee you he will bitch about having too much rest. and
Right.
that other teams got to play during the Boxing Day period, which kept them in a good rotation. Yeah, there's no winning.
Well, that we'll come on to that later. Brentford hadn't played in 2 weeks.
Yeah, precisely.
So you saw what happened to them. So there is something to be said for that. Whether I believe it from Klopp or not, I don't know. But Russ does begin to build when hands are idle. You know what I mean? But yeah, so this January period is going to be huge for Liverpool to at least stay within touching distance of City. And that's going to be, that's really going to tell the story of the season, in my opinion. I don't know that Chelsea can get back into it. Where they are right now, being 6 points back on the same number of games as City, but I guess they do still have to play them.
Yeah,
and it's it was a bit of a 6-pointer there. So
Chelsea's always good for a win against City.
Yep.
Every year they seem to be good for a win against City.
Yeah, exactly. So it's going to be an interesting title race. We've got, your 4th through 7th is going to be interesting as shit with so many games in hand as well that we're going to come on to here shortly.
Mm-hmm.
And then you pop down into the relegation places, and I'm looking at some of these. Burnley have only played 15 fucking games, and they're only 2 points from safety right now.
Right.
So they've got on some of these on Leeds, they have 3 games in hand on Leeds. They have a game in hand on Watford. 2 games in hand on you all, and you're not in a great situation at the moment.
Well, one of those games in hand against us is us. Right.
Well, that's true. Yeah. I think that's actually coming up. I think that's part of my bet of the week, I think.
No, I would say I hope not, because that was us and Burnley was supposed to be this weekend, and it got canceled. It was interesting, little side story to this, and I'll only bitch a little. But again, remember the documents, Graham, the documents. Everton reaches out to the FA on Thursday and says, we have 9 first-team players. 9. You have a goalie? Yeah. Why don't y'all figure that out? They had COVID cases, but not the prerequisite 6 that seems to be kind of the magic number, right? And, of course, all their regular injuries. And they were just told at first to figure it out. It wasn't until later on Friday that they finally went, okay, we'll cancel your match for you.
Well, what'd they do for Leeds the week prior? They made them play as well. They had to dress a 15-year-old.
Yeah.
Against us. You know what I mean? There's no real, we read the rules the other day, the last show, I think, or 2 shows ago. And there just doesn't seem to be any rhyme or reason the way they're doing this shit.
Hey, Sam, it meets the high bar of expectation. The battle for the Champions League is starting to take shape, and an old familiar club is back in the right position. Arsenal 5, Norwich 0, Southampton 3, West Ham 2, Tottenham 3, Palace 0. Gunners get a second straight road win. Now, granted, not the stiffest of competition, but it's 2 road wins, right, Sam? It's 2 fucking road wins. You got to look at the positives.
100%. But you also, look how we picked them apart. When we beat them earlier in the season for our first win of the season at home, it wasn't this convincing.
Nope.
This was a dominant, confident team. We picked Norwich apart like the championship side that they are.
Mm-hmm. And you look like a Champions League team. You played like one.
I would have liked a few more shots on target. From 16 overall, we only had 6. Mm-hmm. It's not great for having almost 2/3 of the ball. Mm-hmm. But when you're lethal enough to score out on 5 out of 6 shots...
Hard to be. You're just being nitpicky, Sam. You're just being nitpicky.
Yeah, it's perfectly okay. Norwich did have a couple of shots on goal, but everything was fairly routine. Really, for the defense and for Aaron Ramsdale, wasn't really a problem. They never really looked dangerous at all. And both of Saka's and Tierney's goal were brilliant and well worked. Good team goals. Only Emil Smith-Rowe, I think, had a little bit of a sense of luck that it fell to him after Pepe's deflected shot. But he did have to be in the right place at the right time, and he was, and he finished well. And then Lacazette back on the score sheet following his penalty. It was a great performance.
Abawa?
Yeah. It seems like that ego is kind of like what happened with Ozil when we first dropped him. It seems like that ego is kind of what, was hurting us. And I see...
Laka can fill that role just fine. If you need a savvy veteran out there, Laka can do that role just fine.
Well, I see the other thing is I see what a couple of the pundits that we listen to frequently have said, and kind of coming to fruition, is that Alba this season, Aubameyang has been very static. A lot of that work, if you look at the FA Cup semifinal win against City and then the FA Cup win in the final against Chelsea, Arsenal were very Aubameyang especially were very defensive, but he was putting in a shift. We haven't seen that this season, and that kind of low expectation from the captain, as we've seen, you're setting an example for a very young team. And if you're doing it, they're going to do it. Now, I'd like for us, again, like I said, I'd like a point against City Thursday. I think it would show us really have turned the corner and go a long way for Arteta with some of the naysayer fans.
Hell, just a 1-0 loss even.
Yeah, I mean, right. Just don't get blown out again.
Yeah, be in a match. Lose 2-1. You got a goal. You maybe took the lead early and they just were too much. I mean, they're playing really well right now, but still, just
don't get blown out again. Exactly.
Don't
right.
Get your asses whooped.
Right. I mean, Chelsea's 3-0 win was terrible. I mean, we looked horrendous in that game. It felt more like 5-0. And then the actual 5-0 against City felt like 7-0. It was terrible.
So, by the way, Graham, just want to let you know, hey, again, Daddy went to the book on Sunday, and he might have put down a little Arsenal to win and one Mr. Saka to score. Now, here, he'll honestly admit he made a mistake because he's going to talk about the other mistake he made that cost him. I hit Saka to score first. I thought I hit Saka to score anytime. I paid out a little
Saka
cash.
scored first, yeah.
That paid out a little cash. And as soon as it went to 2-0, I'm like, okay, this is good. And then then it went to 3-0, and I went, okay, this isn't as good because right now Graham's hitting his bet on this show, which just simply will not do. Then immediately within a few minutes, Norwich fucked it off and got the penalty, which was great for Laka. And then at the end, which hurt me, I thought, again, I had hit any time to score. I had done Arsenal to win and ESR to score first. I thought I had hit any time scorer, so I would have hit that too. So.
Right.
That's
unfortunate.
Yeah, but I think if I would have had both of them as anytime scorers, they would have probably paid out the same as the Saka to be the first scorer anyway. So
right,
paid out very well. So yeah, made a little money on your team this weekend, Mr. Graham.
That's not too bad
because I went to the book.
The only other thing I would say about this, just in general, is these. This is now going to be the new theme. Last year's theme was no fans and what are we going to do? And road teams are winning more and all this kind of stuff. And then it was, VAR is kind of acting a fool. And that seems to, kind of die down for about 2 months and then creep back up for about 6 games as a running theme. These games in hand, due to the league not wanting to shut down for an extended period of time, to just 103 across the football league positive COVID cases this past week.
Yeah.
And they don't want to shut anything down, which I understand about fixture congestion. You have a winter World Cup now next year, all that kind of stuff. I get it. But at the same time, we got to protect these people.
Well, you're also going to talk about it at the end of the show when we get a championship quarter, exactly how many games they played this weekend.
Yeah. So there's games in hand all over this table where if you I'm sitting comfortable in 4th place right now. But if Tottenham win their 3 games in hand, we're 2 points back.
Yep. Exactly.
Or 3 points back, maybe. You know what I mean? I'm trying to do the math quickly in my head. But if they win those, what's that? 9 points to be on 38. We'll be 3 points back if they win their 3 games. And so all of a sudden, our great run that we've had, we're still in 5th.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So it's going to be very interesting. If they can show up when the pressure's necessary, if we can keep the run going to keep the pressure on them. It's going to be a really fun
points on the board, Sammy. Points on the board.
Yeah, it's going to be a really fun, and who says they don't get infected again?
Right.
Everybody, all this kind of stuff. Who says we don't go down?
Right.
At some point.
Yeah, I mean, you've done it twice already, so why not go ahead for the trifecta, right?
See, the problem is we only get 3 players infected.
Right.
And then we still have to play, but we're missing 3 starters.
Yep.
So it's fuck. I'd rather have that game in hand at that point.
Irons looked flat. I mean, even for scoring 2 goals, they looked flat. Could the heavy fixture schedule finally be catching up to what isn't the deepest side in the world?
Also, not the most consistent side in the world. I mean, you look at Mikel Antonio is gone through his best spell of scoring goals over the last 10 months or so in his entire career. So it's kind of difficult to. Jared Bowen's not a prolific goal scorer. Yarmolenko, they can't afford to have him just strolling around the field whenever he feels like. On the other side, Ben Rama hasn't really come good in the Premier League. Another fantastic bit of business by Brentford. Top scorer in the championship when they had him, and then sold him on for a huge fee, and hasn't really done much in the Premier League, to be honest. Southampton looked lively. I thought there was a few pieces of
real quick,
football
all that being said, Antonio and Benrahma were the two goal scorers.
Did score in this game, yes. But I'm talking about on a consistent basis.
And we're halftime subs, so to be fair in that regard. So, but they looked flat. They just did not look very lively.
No, you're absolutely right, and it's going to be difficult for them, without having that deep squad. We've seen that complacency creep into Arsenal, as we just got done talking about, where you don't have somebody challenging for places. Ultimately, why is that guy going to go out there and give it 110%? Why is that guy going to be able to perform? No one's pushing him to stay on top of his game, and it's also somebody that gets injured quite a lot.
Right.
I'm not calling into question his character. I don't mean to do that. I think he's a perfect professional. I'm just saying it's a bit of complacency tends to creep in if you're not being pushed day in, day out, and to hold down your own place in the team. And I just think this West Ham team is now winless in 7.
Yeah, it hasn't not been a very good run.
So I mean, they're still in a good position, and I think they do have a game in hand in there, but it's. They're going to have to figure something out here quick, because that magic is starting to dissipate a little bit from that opening run that they had.
Unfortunately, where we said earlier in the seasons, like, this looks like the Moyes of old, and that they were like really invigorated and doing a lot with a little and yada, yada, yada. This also looks like the Moyes of old and the Everton of old, where it'd be like, yeah, right there in it. And then suddenly, right off the cliff.
Yeah.
And then they finish respectfully in 7th, but you're just like, yeah, remember that run right in the middle of fucking November and December when it all fucking fell apart? If that didn't happen, we'd be in Champions League.
Yeah, exactly. El Yunusi with a fucking, what a goal. Fantastic little touch to set himself up. Half volley, snapshot. I think caught Fabianski off guard.
Agreed.
But it was a fantastic strike. Keeping it down that way, and with his weaker foot as well. It was very good. That goal in particular.
And then, beyond that for the Saints, set pieces, doing what they do, penalty and a corner, getting it, Ward-Prowse, putting the ball in the net, putting the ball in the right spot for a goal. Like, just, it wasn't anything particularly great out of Southampton, but it was the Southampton style of play we've been seeing from them most of the time under Hasenhüttl that we haven't seen in about a month.
Right.
So for them, that was a very, very, when you look at what the dogfight of relegation will be, that's the kind of win that gets you out of that discussion. Now, they're not clear.
They needed that bad.
A lot of teams, there's 3 teams at 20 and Everton at 19, and all those teams can be dragged in very quickly if they're not paying attention. But Leeds and Watford are pretty comfortably behind them. That little bunch, but
yeah,
right. But a win like that is very, very big for Southampton. When you look at a season, you go, here's why we finished in 15th. Here's why we didn't go down. Beating West Ham on Boxing Day. That's one of those games.
Yeah, the weird thing about West Ham in this game in particular is every time they went down, it was strange. They'd have a 5-minute spell of how they looked at the beginning of the season.
Yeah.
They'd control the ball. They'd, try to break them down. They eventually would crack the dam. And then they'd be flat again once they equalized. It was really strange from them, and not something you normally associate with a Moyes side. I mean,
they equalized relatively quickly on both of those goals. They kind of especially when it's the second half. They just came right in, boom, got them.
Yeah, exactly. And then fell flat again, and Southampton were able to pick up, boom, we're back in front. And then, the Jared Bowen cross was inch perfect. I mean, he fit that ball through the size of a butthole.
Mm-hmm.
It was fantastic, that ball
Or
that
a
he put
beefsteak,
across
one might say.
for Ben Rama. Yeah, absolutely. And Ben Rama's run was fantastic. Bendrick had no idea where he was.
Mm-hmm.
He kind of came from his shoulder and ran across and was completely wide open. But Bowen had a lot to do to get that cross in. It was absolutely fantastic. But the quality of James Ward-Prowse and his delivery ultimately won Southampton this game.
So funny. The last match we're going to discuss here in the segment, it's couldn't have been a better kind of performance and match and overall game for Spurs. Couldn't have been a worse match or result or situation for Palace. First yellow card on Zaha, we got to talk about. I don't even think he touched Sanchez. I think he just stepped next to him, and Sanchez, there was a magic springboard underneath his feet that made him shoot 10 feet in the air and fall on the ground.
I don't think there was much in that at all, to be honest. And even if it was a foul, I don't think it was a yellow card by any stretch. If he caught him at all, which I think you're right. I don't think he did.
Think he touched him.
But if he did, I don't think there was enough in it for there to be a card issued for it. And he was done wrong there.
So if only there was this TV that you could look at and see the play.
Can't review yellow cards.
It's how can
stupid rule? Yes.
Or just, you can't review a yellow card. How about, hey mate, you might want to take a look at that. I think the guy dove.
Yeah, it's a clear
I don't think it was a foul.
Exactly.
I think he dove. And it just
it's weird,
now,
man.
Now, unfortunate for him, Zaha, he wears his emotions on his sleeve, and it got the best of him later in the match in the second half.
Also helped by some theatrics.
Oh yeah,
I think because Sanchez has shown a few times this season, last season, that he's a pretty strong lad as well, and I don't think Wilf Zaha would have been able to throw him over that easily, to be honest. In that situation, it's the old cliche, right? You gave the referee a decision to make.
Don't give him a decision to make.
You can't put yourself in that situation, especially for somebody of Zaha's experience.
And Zaha had gotten busted around on the first yellow card. He had gotten busted around a few times by Sanchez. There was no calls. He then does that. It's like you're not helping your cause by bitching at the ref about not getting calls, then fouling perceived hardly, even if it wasn't a foul, even if you didn't touch him. It looked like you did, and it looked like you fouled him hard. You're not putting yourself in a good light when you're giving the referee the opportunity to make that decision.
Right, exactly. And then, the other cliche of if you're getting bumped and it's not getting called, the last thing to do is retaliate against that player immediately.
Right.
Because the ref, another old cliche in sports is the refs always see the retaliation and never the initial incident. So, this kind of schoolboy stuff that every sportsman learns, and sportswoman learns early on in their sporting life is you kind of got to just shoulder these things and move forward and kind of have that goldfish mentality.
Especially if you're a talented, skillful attacking player, you're going to get hacked a lot. That's
exactly
your old school of thinking, Sam. You were a defensive player, man or the ball, never both.
Yep.
And if you have somebody who's going to play pretty in front of you, you're just going to punch him in the face one time and go, okay, well, how does that feel? How does it feel to get knocked on the ground? Oh, by the way, every time you touch the ball and I'm behind you, be prepared. You're about to eat grass. Yeah. And I don't care if I get a yellow card. I don't care.
Right. But you have to do it smart.
Yeah.
You have to do it smart. And Zaha in this game did not do it smart. And that's typically what happens when attacking players try to make challenges.
Yeah,
sadly enough, because they're not taught how to do it properly.
And then also to make matters worse in that regard, just a little unknown kind of throwaway thing, Conor Gallagher gets a yellow card. Number 5.
Ooh, now he's suspended for the next game.
So your next match, you are now without
your 2 best players.
Again, how can a match go so perfectly well for Spurs where Kane, Mora, and Son all score great goals, the team looks good, you pitch a shutout, everything's perfect. For Palace,
And
We
all
lose
falls apart.
3-0, and our two best players can't play in the next fucking game.
Yeah.
Like,
It's terrible.
that's the worst.
Speaking of the goals, real quick though,
Mhm.
Kane's goal was excellent.
Mhm.
What a finish that was! Even though Butland did get a hand to it, it was a fantastic finish. Mora's goal was just sheer determination. I mean, there's no reason Joachim Anderson should be doing what he did there. You've got to go up and challenge for that ball. Lucas Moore's got 5 inches shorter than he is.
That was fuck you, I'm scoring. That's
Yeah, no,
exactly what
exactly.
that was. Like, he was almost parallel his whole body to Anderson's head. I was like, how the fuck did he get that high in the air?
Yeah, well, because Anderson just stood there, tried to body him instead of going for the ball. I mean, you can't do that. Lucas Moore is, 5'8". Joachim Anderson 6'2". Like, you have to jump.
Yeah.
If you jump, it's fine.
Yeah.
If you don't jump, this happens. You get made look a fool of. And then, what was it, Son's goal? What a deft little touch that was. I mean, I'm not one to praise Spurs very often, but that was a great little touch. That was a touch for the children.
Thank you.
Sounded better in my head.
Wrong. Well, don't worry. That was the most busted celebration as well. They all get together, and then Son leans into him. They all turn around and start doing Spider-Man webs, right? I guarantee you, Son gets into the group with all of them and goes, look, we do this. Spider-Man gets big ratings back home. I make an extra 20 mil. Let's do it real quick. Shoot spider webs, everybody. Back home. Gotta have a big opening in South Korea. Let's go.
Well, Tom Holland
is a spud.
Is a Spurs supporter. The Spider-Man from the Marvel comic universe.
The current.
Yeah, the current one. So there you go. I mean, be that what it, but somebody else. There's a couple popular YouTubers that had challenged some Premier League stars to do celebrations, and they did them as well. So there may be something in that too. Maybe Tom Holland said something to Son about if you get one, you got to do this. So who knows?
All right. So last thought here. As you've already mentioned, games in hand. Tottenham's right in it. They're 6 points, 6 or 7 points out of the fourth place spot right now. And here's my question. Is Conte that fucking good? Is that how fucking great he is? Like, because this team had nothing last season and nothing under Nuno, and they haven't changed anything.
So I think part of what happened with Nuno is everyone knew that he wasn't top 5 on Tottenham's list,
right?
Even though that was the speculation before he had even quit Wolves. The speculation was that it was going to be Nuno, and it was going to be that's why he was quitting.
Yeah,
but then it came out that they had 2 or 3 different interviews with the starts with an F. Francesca, something like that, Roma's former manager.
Yeah.
And then that Jose Mourinho ended up replacing. And then the old Juventus coach, that Massimiliano Allegri, or there's a couple other people that were in talks, as well as Antonio Conte. So when Nuno actually came in, it was like, well, what the fuck? We were supposed to get a world-class coach. We got this guy. And Harry Kane's whole debacle with Manchester City, and he very obviously didn't want to be there at all. I think he's finally put that behind him a bit, and is now being a bit more professional, being a bit more bought into what's going on. I don't think he really has a choice with somebody like Antonio Conte, who famously once said he wanted to kill his players.
Yeah. I mean, if I'm Conte, I'm still looking at Levy in January and going, "There's a good enough deal. Fucking sell him." Like.
Yeah,
we can move on.
I hear you. But no, he is a very good coach. He's one that also has difficulty, like Thomas Tuchel, managing up, and we'll have to see how it plays out, especially with somebody as frustrating as Daniel Levy can be. But we'll see what happens. But yeah, he is that good of a coach. I mean, this is how Jose Mourinho used to be in his pomp. When he was a good coach, this is how Conte is now. I mean, this is what he did to Chelsea when he replaced Mourinho the first time.
Well, and as we know with good Mr. Jose Mourinho, he didn't just fail at the ability to coach Tottenham. He failed at the basic concepts of life. Rounding out the rest of the league here quickly, Mr. Graham, and so that happened. Chelsea 3, Villa 1, Brighton 2, Brentford 0, Newcastle 1, United 1.
I think that's Chelsea. I think you read that wrong. I think that's Chelsea 3, Chelsea 1.
Oh, Chelsea 3, Villa 1.
No, Chelsea 3, Chelsea 1.
Oh,
Reece
very true.
James,
Yes.
what a fucking header.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, that was a perfect header. Problem, wrong goal.
Chelsea beat themselves 3-1. It was brilliant.
Big Rom is back, baby.
Oh, yeah.
I hate that Target's not going to get credit for that goal.
It was the other thing about it is it wasn't even a dangerous situation. I mean, it came at him very quickly. There was only one player at the back post. Chelsea had 3 people in the box. So Reece James getting on the end of that for no reason. You know, he should have gotten a call from a defender behind him or the goalkeeper, and he just didn't. He decided to head it, and Edouard Mendy flying at it with 2 hands I thought was very funny as well. You don't normally see keepers do that.
For Chelsea, there's been a bit of a slip here over the past couple of weeks with those draws to both Wolves and to Everton, which of course were disappointed. And honestly, at the rate the other two sides are going, might have knocked them out of the championship talk. Now, not that anything's of course possible. There's still a lot of season left. Let's see what African Cup of Nations has. Let's see if City doesn't fuck it off again, because City's fucked it off a few times here. Now, normally the second half of the season they have their shit together, but good win for Chelsea. This is a team in Villa that is playing really fucking well since they've added Steven Gerrard as the manager. And for Villa, okay, they've lost 3 matches since Steven Gerrard has taken over. City, Liverpool, and Chelsea.
Yep.
That's their 3 fucking losses. If I had a manager and he had 3 losses on his books and those were the 3, I'd be like, fucking love him. That's my guy. We're good.
I have a question.
Uh-huh.
So he had COVID, him and McGinn, licking doorknobs. What is the protocol? Is he in his living room on his cell phone calling plays? How does this work?
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, his
if he's able to, he can be
assistant.
in communication. He could be in communication with the assistant as long
his
as he's not
assistant will have an
banned.
earbud.
Right. If he's got a red card or a suspension for whatever reason, he cannot communicate with the bench
Right.
During the game. But if he is just sick and just unable to be there, or family or whatever, yes, he can still communicate with the bench. He's good to go.
How much lag time is there, or do they have a closed circuit TV situation for him?
Yeah, so that situation, I was just about to say that actually. The Palace performance and this Villa performance are probably the 2 worst since both of those managers have taken over.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the one match that neither of them were there for, because
Right.
Patrick Vieira also had COVID.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's very odd to me when you look over and see the touchline. Maybe it's just the
Right.
communication of those assistant managers or whatever. But when those players look over to the touchline for direction, and the guy that's been screaming at him for the last 6 weeks isn't there, they all kind of fuck it off a bit.
And even there, Villa, watching that match, Villa wasn't that terrible.
No.
It was a close match. Obviously they get the 1 goal at the end there, Chelsea, to put it away, but Villa had chances. Villa had fucking chances.
You think of, giving away 2 penalties in a game. The lack of discipline that takes to
Fucking
muster.
Mings again. What's his 5th yellow card?
Yep, so he's out for the next match.
Mings again, and then you had Matty Cash with it, and he knew it as soon as he went to ground that was a penalty. He turned around, didn't even protest, just put his hands on his head.
Nope, yep, got me. Fuck that one off.
So it's just a little bit of a lack of discipline, and you saw that from Yuri Tielemans as well in the Leicester game. He gave up 2 penalties himself, and I don't even think got a card for it.
Right? No, he didn't see a card for it at all.
Gave up 2 pens. So it's just Boxing Day throws up some weird shit, and this was just one of those weekends. Yep. It was a lot of fun. Lukaku doing well to get back on the score. She was a great header from him.
Well, and just also and then getting the penalty, when he got the ball, it was very cute that Target tried to stop him. It looked like,
oh my God.
I'm not sure if you remember the original Super Tecmo Bowl on Nintendo, Sam. If you played with the Kansas City Chiefs and you had the Nigerian Nightmare, Christian Okoye, just give him the ball where he runs right through the middle of the line. Not
Just
anything fancy around us. Runs right through the middle, and little bodies just go ding, 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 and bounce off of him as he runs right through the middle. Target tries to grab hold of him. He even tries to put an arm on him and pull I'm just going to take the yellow, fuck it. And Rob just, fuck you. Just shrugs him right off and keeps going. You're just like, yep, that's Big Rum.
Yeah, I mean, when he went down for the belly slide after falling, trying to foul Romelu Lukaku twice, he just slid even on his hands up like this, just looking like, fuck.
Just like, there he goes. There he fucking goes.
Ain't no fucking way.
Jesus, I should have tried to go for the legs. I should have just tried to do a professional NFL tackle on him and get around his waist.
It was so funny. But then Konza did what he did, and he turned around basically scolding Matty Cash for not being able to do what he had done. Right. And that was bring him down outside of the box.
Right. Well, if he did, second yellow, he's done.
So it was pretty wild. Emi Martinez getting a yellow for shit talking again. Jorginho trying to ice him before the first penalty.
Yep.
That's pretty good. And then Jorginho did him again for the second penalty.
Well, it was funny on the first one, he does the shit talking, and then Jorginho's you. Like you get caught with the stutter. You went off the stutter, and he
way
beat
too
you
early. Yep.
The second one, you actually held up and you went to the right side and you did it well. The problem was he just was pinpoint accuracy into the corner.
Think the first penalty, I don't think Jorginho knew where he was going to hit it until Emi moved. And it wasn't a very well-struck penalty, but he put it far enough away from Emi diving the wrong way that it was good. The second penalty, I think he focused more on the shot. There was less of a jump than the first time.
Yeah.
And he focused more on the strike of the ball because he knew Emi Martinez. He had already faced him in that match. He knew, I think, you always have a secondary spot. You always have a secondary idea.
Enough of the chitter chatter. Mel, you have something to drink there, Miss Thing. You have your shot glass. Go ahead.
I have thoughts on Target, and I'll just let Lindsay say it for me.
Bless your little cotton socks.
Don't send a boy in to do a man's job. That's just all there is in that situation.
My goodness. Bless his little cotton socks up the villa.
That was a young man meeting a real man right there. That's what that was.
I mean, this is like when you remember in Kong versus Godzilla when they sent the first two monsters to fight Godzilla. Mm-hmm. And then Godzilla just toyed around with him for a second and then eventually just smacked him.
Yeah, exactly.
In this situation, Romelu Lukaku's Godzilla. Yeah. And he just absolutely pummeled Target. Just get off me twice. Get the fuck off. It's brilliant.
Brighton win. Are you ready for this, Sam? For the first time in the league since September.
Yep.
Wow.
Absolutely. It was wild. The first goal was an absolute thing of beauty.
Well, that's an instinct play, right? Because if you think that one through, you're going to probably trap it and try to go around the keeper. But that's just instinct takes over, and you just stick out the foot and fucking are going for it. He's that far. He's in no man's land. It's the backup who clearly shows it there. If he's smarter, he's probably back on his 6, and Trossard thinks about putting the ball on the ground and trying to then set himself up for a better shot. But he just reactionarily puts a fucking foot on it, boom, back of the fucking net.
Yeah, I'm gonna also call this the soccer version of Willie Mays' famous catch.
Oh yeah, that's a good call.
I mean, it was a great kind of just over his shoulder ball into the channel, and Trossard followed it the whole way. Mm-hmm. And just pop that over the goalkeeper's head there. But that actually made Brentford pay for their early misfortune. I mean, they had a goal mouth scramble where I think they had a third of their shots on target in about 12 seconds for the entire game, which I think kind of padded their stats a little bit. Brighton survive it and then pull this out just a few minutes later. You could see Brentford kind of deflate for a little bit. But they got themselves back into it. They did have some more chances. Sanchez made a fantastic save.
Yes.
At one point he was diving the wrong way. Ball got deflected. He just flung out his left leg and ended up hitting it with his knee.
Yeah, that was in the second half after it was already 2-0. But yeah, I remember.
Yeah, but a fantastic save there. But that could have got Brentford back into it. That things could have played out differently after that.
I will say, Sammy, for the amount of shit that we give Les Pay in this moment, credit him.
That was a great shot.
Scores a banger at home, where you should probably lose your fucking mind and had enough common sense to know he played for Brentford and the Brentford supporters were right there in the corner and just went, nope, it was, if ever you wanted to throw your fucking fist in the air and fucking do a dance, like there it is right there. It was a fucking banger of a goal.
Oh, yeah.
And he immediately just went, no. And his whole team surrounded him and gave him a big hug and celebrated with him. So he just not even seen by the Brentford fans. I was like, for as classless of acts as you have done before, aka the fucking running into Leno, and then pretending like everybody else is the villain when you knew what you fucking did, like. Yep. For all the shady shit he does, like in that one moment, give him credit. Give him credit.
Not getting choked by Guendouzi, good enough.
Yeah. I give him credit on that one. I'll let him. It's like he definitely deserves a pat on the back for that one.
Yeah, so he was one of those, Brentford Moneyball situations where he was top scorer in the championship. Brentford sold him. But yeah, what a fantastic strike! I loved the fact that they had the behind him angle from midfield when he took that strike, because you saw just how much it moved towards the top corner. There was absolutely no chance for the Brentford goalkeeper. It was a hit and a half. No goalkeeper in the world saving that.
Before we get into the last game, Sam, it's been a little while. We just need to be reminded of the following.
Get my way downtown, walking fast. I'm a seagull, go fuck yourself.
Yeah,
I was waiting for that.
I told her, I was like, Brighton won. We got to fucking break out the sound cue again. Haven't had a chance to play that in a while. Newcastle was far and away the better side in this match. Newcastle and Manchester United. Hands down, way better.
This was a wild game, right? So Newcastle had just 30% possession, but doubled Manchester United up on shots, 8-4 on target. It was brilliant. Amarone had a chance at the end to win it there. De Gea pulled out a Ramsdale-esque save.
No, that's not a Ramsdale-esque save. That's exactly what we see from the one thing we've always said about De Gea.
He's a good shot stopper.
On the line, there might not be a better guy in the world than him on the fucking line. He's insane on the line. And they fucking proves it to you again. Like, that's going in the back of the net. Oh, wait, no, it's not.
Yeah. But it was just very sloppy for Manchester United again. They gave the ball away in bad areas. They didn't take hardly any chances. It took Edinson Cavani, the equalizer. It took him 2 stabs at that. And even that was fortunate as it kind of nutmegged Lascelles, who saw it nutmegging him and tried to close his legs. Dubravka spilled one, that Manchester United weren't able to capitalize on. They were very, very ugly in this game.
Here's the thing. Why is the 37-year-old Uruguayan the only one who seems to fucking care?
Right. Ronaldo was getting hell from the Newcastle supporters. It was fantastic. He missed a kick once. He was trying to fire it back across the box. He missed it. It bounced up, hit his shoulder, went out for a goal kick. And they were just giving him hell. It was fantastic.
I'm surprised they weren't starting to chant, "We're buying you soon. We're buying you soon."
But the Alain Saint-Maximin goal is the goal of the weekend for me. It is absolutely fantastic. Cut in on the inside again, got given the ball in space, was confronted by a Manchester United player, kind of dinked the ball between two of them, and then stretching, lost his footing, still got a shot away, and it loops up into the top corner, like just perfectly. It was absolutely brilliant, this goal. it's a fantastic shot with a sprinkle of luck, and it was just magic. This is why we love this game, is that kind of thing. Conversely, the reason this game gives us high blood pressure, another reason besides alcohol, is you then lose Alan St. Maximin and Callum Wilson to injury.
Yeah.
Well done. You got a point against Manchester United. Now what?
Which, looking at that whole match, I'm just like, fucking, we got to play them next. They are going to kill us. And then those two injuries, I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm feeling good about it now. I don't feel so bad about it anymore.
It's ridiculous. I mean, it's just like every time Mike Ashley, the ghost of Mike Ashley is still there. Like, the ghost of Christmas past. It just sucks for them because it's for every step forward they take, it seems like they take two back. And it's going to take some time to work out that kind of, aura. I don't know what other word to use. That kind of just luck of the club. It's going to take a little bit of time to work that out, and get that out of their systems. But they, they look like they have a bit more of a plan. They look more organized. They look like they're all involved. They look like they all care. And now they've got, until later in the match when the two went down injured, they had pretty much their full complement of players again. And we saw what they could do, right? We saw, more than one threat, because for the last 3 years, it's been Alan St. Maximin. You shut him down, you shut down Newcastle. Yeah. Ryan Fraser was lively in this game. Looks like he's got a new lease on life. Obviously his best years spent under Eddie Howe at Bournemouth.
Sam, dare I say, man of the match, Joe Litton.
He had a little nutmeg that was nice.
He played his ass off. Like
he has been the last two or three.
Well.
He's been working really, really hard. Got himself a goal or two. Got an assist. And in this game had a bit of a nutmeg that was pretty sexy. So
Linton, Joel.
Now, so you don't get points for a nutmeg, but it just they all seem to be working towards the same goal now. They look like training is more intense. They look better.
Commentators even said that with Joelinton that he's seemingly under Eddie Howe playing the position he used to play.
He's meant to play it. That he played at Hoffenheim. Right. I think it was Hoffenheim. Yeah.
Before coming here, like he's playing the right position, and because he's playing the right position, he's performing well.
Well, imagine that, right? Put yourself. This is what happened, under Unai Emery, with Lucas Torreira, playing him as a number 10. There's a lot of stuff just didn't make sense. He's by far and away a very good holding midfielder, and you don't do that. So big surprise if you play somebody out of their position, they may not possess the same skill set to get it done.
And leave it with this thought: what the fuck, man? What the fuck?
Sure money.
Okay, so this is the segment in which we make bets to help you with your bets to make money guaranteed. This is Sure Money, where we come up with the business. Now, I lost, but I lost in a good way. I had correct score. Arsenal won 3-0. They won 5-0. I'll take that. Fine. I'll burn that $15 every time.
I would like it mentioned that I did get a message from Brody when it was 3-0. By the way, Daddy was at the book. When I got that message, it was like, how long till Arsenal fucks this off for him? And within 30 seconds, penalty.
Yeah.
And it just and both of it at the same time, just messaging each other. And there it is.
Yeah, brilliant. Brilliant stuff. So it is what it is. That's fine. I'll like I said, I'll burn that $100 anytime. I'm now down 107. So my cup of losers when I get back in studio with you is lost it, but in a good way.
Lost it in a good way. Very good.
Yeah. So what do you have for us, kind sir?
All right. I hit at the sports book, but that doesn't count here. So I'm now down $1,345.
Big Sam's Lock of the Week.
Graham, I know you like even numbers. 10% of the time it works. 100% of the time. For the couple losers, forgot the seagulls. So I fucked myself. Do. Let's go ahead and put that Dort's by Red Cup out of the way.
And make a big noise.
Yep. But you know what? Seeing that I was at the book.
Were you at the book?
I was at the book.
I didn't even notice.
Hey, Mel, Daddy was at the book. I am going to prop the fuck out of this bet, Sammy. I am feeling inspired. Ready? Liverpool to beat Leicester. Over 2.5 goals total. Jota to score. Over combined 9 corners. And Liverpool to have the lead at halftime. So 5 spots on this bet. If I hit, plus 528.
There you go.
That is all very fucking possible.
It is definitely all very possible. Although I think Klopp, never mind. I'm not going to jinx you. It's fine.
Okay, fair enough. Klopp benches Jota and plays Firmino instead for squad rotation.
Yeah, just to keep Jota fresh for the load he's going to have to carry with Mane and Salah being out the following week.
But if he doesn't play, it's a push, and it's nothing.
Well, that's fair. Yeah, that's true.
Very good. All right. Well, what's going on with Pat? I know we're recording late tonight.
Yep.
And now, it's time for our degenerate gambling friend Pat's Pick of the Week.
So I've got his email here, and he says, well, even though one game was postponed in my parlay, Southampton upset West Ham, so I'll take the loss, and I'm now down $490.
Look at that, a man with honor, unlike you last week.
So for the weekday games, I'm going back to picking like the chicken. I'm just picking one match. So I like Everton over Newcastle at minus 135. So I'll risk 135 to win 100 and hope I can claw my way back to even. I'll talk to you guys on Thursday.
Before that match was over, I would have said bad bet. But once St. Maximin went out, good bet.
Exactly. And that actually has part of my thing going on here too. So in my bet this week, I've got Tottenham to beat Southampton, United to beat Burnley, and Everton and Newcastle to draw. Because both of you are riddled with injuries.
Yeah. There's only one difference. Who's going to score goals for, Newcastle? Who knows? Because both of their big goal scorers are out. But for Everton, somebody's goal scorer's back.
DCL?
Uh-huh.
It hasn't played in 2 months, so
just need one little cross into the box. One little cross.
I think he'll need a game to get his legs back under him in this one.
Very good.
But you've got plus 929 on a $100 bet. So
there you go.
Yeah, I like this one a lot. So we'll see what happens here.
Excellent. Well, you know what, Graham? I don't want to be too confrontational because I know it might be a bit too much on your heart. So I'm just gonna say, good job, my friend. Good job. But we have a chicken.
Well, Kitty's match didn't go off, and she still sits at 9-7. So for the festive midweek fixtures, I gave Kitty Notch heading to Selhurst Park to face Bridgends Crystal Palace. Now, Kitty informed me that her and Rebecca Lau were going to be enjoying afternoon tea with the Palace talesman Wilfred Zaha.
Talisman, you got it right the first time.
Talisman? Really?
Yeah.
I hate it when I get it right the first time. Since he's now free on Tuesday. Now, despite Wilf missing the match, Kitty is very confident that Palace will be victorious.
Hey, if you didn't get it right the first time, you wouldn't have ended up marrying me.
So I do have one more important thing to tell everybody. And that is, 1, I'm adorable in my chicken onesie that I got for Christmas. And 2, please remember to gamble legally and responsibly.
Championship Corner!
I've fallen, and I can't get up.
Oh, no!
Please, Sam, tell me about all the tons of exhilarating action that went on in the championship this weekend. I want to know about every fucking match, Sam.
Only 4 games took place in the championship. between Boxing Day and Monday, with Huddersfield beating Blackpool 3-2 and Middlesbrough beating Forest 2-0 on Boxing Day. Now, Derby beat West Brom on Monday in a huge upset.
That's a huge one.
And Bournemouth took out QPR to overtake Fulham in the standings, but Fulham do have a game in hand. So it's Bournemouth on top right now with 46 points.
Sam, real quick, before you get to, as you read that off, who's in third place is very interesting.
Yes. Fulham in second now with 45. As I said, they have a game in hand, though. And then you have Blackburn in third. Now, Blackburn is on 23 games as well, which is interesting. And West Brom dropped down to fourth, which leaves Middlesbrough and Huddersfield to round out the playoff places, with QPR and Stoke just a point back, but both of them have 2 games in hand over those directly above them.
Yep.
Nottingham Forest and Coventry City both have 2 points back, with the latter, Coventry, having 2 games in hand. And Sheffield United is only 4 points back with 2 games in hand from those playoff places. So it's going to get very, very fucking interesting in those playoff places very quickly in the championship.
I'm a little bit of me is kind of rooting for Blackburn. We haven't seen them. They've been out of the league for quite a while, out of the Premiership, and much like Leicester, they're the only one of the big 6 to not to win a Premier League title. Now, granted, this was in the 90s, and essentially it was a bought title, and they are where they are right now because they overextended themselves. But they got a title. They have the same amount of titles as fucking Liverpool does in the Premier League. And you know, if it got down to them being in one of the playoff spots, I might find myself rooting for them. I wouldn't mind seeing them or like a Knots, like, you know, just one of those kind of classic teams back up again would be a lot of fun. Certainly not fucking Stoke. I want to see Stoke fall off so bad.
Nottingham Forest, remember, very famously, has more European Cups than they do league titles.
Yep, absolutely.
So it's also very cool. But I do want to give a quick mention, though, to Derby. And it's such a shame that all of the financial issues has docked them points so many times, because they actually have 6 wins, 10 draws, and 7 losses. So that would be 28 points, and they would be sitting firmly mid-table, actually with a better goal difference than Preston North End. They'd be sitting in 15th. Derby County would be.
Yep.
Had it not been for the being docked points for all their financial woes. You know, their board and their leadership, their owner is just absolutely 100% to blame, and Wayne Rooney is doing the best that he can, obviously. You have,
and that's without being able to buy players as well. So he's just making do with what he has.
Before the season started, they had 8 players registered on their books. They weren't going to be able to field a team the first day of the season. They had to sign a bunch of trialists and people they didn't necessarily want to cheap contracts to be able to play their first game this season. It's absolutely ridiculous. But he now has 7 points from 23 games. Safety is 14 points away. It's a massive hill to climb. But remember, there's 48 games, in the championship. So he's got a further 25 games to go to make up 14 points, or to make up 14 points. I'm sorry. And it's not out of the realm of possibility.
What Newcastle is trying to make happen in the Premier League, Derby County is trying to make happen in the championship right now. And if either one of them are able to pull it off, it's a manager of the year like performance to be able to
absolutely 100%. Even if he doesn't pull it off, if he gets them close, if he gets them in with a shout, that could be manager of the year material anyway.
Yeah, agreed. All right, that's going to wrap it up, boys and girls. Sammy, any parting words?
Not really. Hope everybody had a great Christmas, and we'll talk to you before the new year, obviously. So I'll save those blessings for then. But
Sam, I got parting words for you.
All right.
So I put on the blue wristband. Happy 50th birthday, big fucking dunk!
There you
Happy birthday, big man!
That's a man that needs some blood pressure medication also.
No, he just chokes a motherfucker and gets it all out of his system. You let it build up with alcohol.
Well, that's the problem, is I haven't been able to hit anybody for 2 years. I haven't been able to play soccer.
Yep.
Killing me. My once a week fight was Very therapeutic.
Yeah, excellent. All righty. Thank you so much for joining us, boys and girls. Next up is Injury Time, where we're going to talk about the beers we've been drinking. We're going to preview the weekend's action. We're checking in on a couple of our adopted clubs. If someone wants to find that, Sam, how would they go about doing it?
Very easy. Patreon.com/DUFootballShow and sign up to one simple, easy tier, $5 a month, and you get both of our extra shows, Sound Check, which is our actual sound check. We just kind of talk about what we did on the weekend, get our levels right, and
talk about our health issues.
Tie up some loose ends, talk about health issues, bidets, a lot of fun stuff.
All kinds of important shit.
And then Injury Time, we talk about our side hose in Real Betis, Hibernian, and
Aki.
And Aki Stanley, duh. We just talked to Ben the other day, idiot. And Aki Stanley, sorry, I'm just need a beer. And then and then we preview the weekend that's coming up. So it's a pretty fun show. Sometimes kind of transcends into DU After Dark, which is always a good time. People seem to like that a lot. And then we get a lot of dank memes out of it. And our closed group, Drunkard United FC on Facebook, which y'all need to find as soon as you can to keep up with the best stuff.
Sam, I forgive you. It's all that blood rushing to your head. You didn't know what to think. The pulse rate was up. It's all right. Until next week, boys and girls.
Good night.
Born in the land of Bowie, Maryland. Bred to be a fan of fucking Everton. Punch you in the eye and drink your rye. Sam Houston.
Sam Houston.
Arsenal fans have another Sam. AKA the fucking Gooner Graham. Smells of Malort. Looks great in shorts.